not saying like, and I was heartbroken and Harvey Weinstein hurt me.
Right.
The least egregious thing the monster ever did, right?
Sure.
But that being said, like, it wasn't sincere. It was him going like, is he one of the people?
Right.
And once he had
Going
me on
down
the
the
phone
list.
and he talked for a minute, he was like, he's not one of them, and moved on. So that was the last Dogma anything for a minute.
All right, well, we are into another new hour. Insensitivity training for politically correct world. It's Friday morning, everybody.
Hell yes.
End of another week. It is.
It is.
What?
Friday morning. It is the Woody Show. My name's Woody. That's Greg Gorey.
Hi, Wood.
There's Gina Grad.
Hey.
We got Menace, who's here. Good morning,
Hi.
Menace. And we have a special in-studio guest, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the one, the only Kevin Smith.
You can't keep me away.
Yeah.
We don't want to.
No,
Let me tell you something, man. Before we dive into anything else, Woody reached out to me. Was it last week or whatever?
Yeah.
He was like, "Hey, man, Menace is walking." Like it was felt like it was at 2 a.m.
Oh.
Menace is walking to Disneyland. You got to live stream it. I'm like,
I was
what
like,
the
it was
fuck?
like 8
It's like
o'clock.
a fever dream or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
It happened.
That happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He walked
And-
from the Disney Burbank lot to Disneyland, 41 miles.
Yeah, 41
Was it
miles
for like
straight.
a fundraiser?
He just
No,
wanted
for
to do
nothing.
something.
I wanted
to
to
see if he
do
could
it.
do it.
And I'm so happy you brought it up because there's something involving that walk that I felt terrible about like the entire day after, and it involved you.
Oh,
Because we
no.
wanted to bring you in on the live stream in the last 30 minutes of it.
Oh, yeah.
And then Woody's like, oh, bring in somebody in the live stream. And he said, Kevin, I didn't realize I was so out of it because I already walked like
39 miles.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I don't want to stress the stream. I don't know who you're talking about. And then he said Kevin Smith. And I was like, oh, for Kevin, I'll do it. Because
Yeah.
for me, you walk on water because I was an ex-film student turned to radio guy. And I felt absolutely terrible because I thought like you heard me say like I don't want to do that, and then we try to get a hold of you, and I'm like, oh, I pissed off Kevin
Not at all.
Smith, and I was laying in bed like all day the next day. I'm like, I pissed off Kevin
no.
Smith.
You're not friends anymore.
Somebody that I
Menace,
worship.
My wife doesn't worry about offending me like you just displayed here. That's very sweet.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice, huh?
But number two,
But I felt
that
horrible.
was all on me, man, because he was like, do a thing. And I was like, I'm old.
Yeah,
I was
what
like,
are we
can
doing?
you do us a favor? Well, you're always on social media
I
and
am,
stuff
but
like
I
that.
never do like live streaming. Or
Yeah.
anything.
No, it's
So
why,
that
because
was-
you can join in, and so, like, you know,
Yeah.
kind of stop in and say hi kind of thing.
But it was
yeah,
a
so I was like,
mutual nod
Yeah.
dog, so it's fine.
Yes. we were
Yeah,
both
but
in
I
it.
was like, I was pretty devastated.
No, not at all. Oh my God! You're the only reason I come here. Never mind these people.
Yeah, right.
It's always been you, Menace. But I heard on the way up in the elevator, I got a compliment on my Hokas. And they were like,
That's
"Oh,
been a
Menace
hot
is gonna love
topic.
that."
Yeah.
It is. I'm not like one of these. I'm not a cultist, but when I find a product that works,
Sure.
like, I stand by it.
Yeah.
We were on the Clerks 3 tour. My sneakers like falling apart, and I went into like one of these hiking stores because we were in Boulder. So it wasn't like I could just go to the mall. I saw a walking store across the street. I said, hey, man, like I'm on my feet a lot. What's a good sneaker? And that dude was just like, oh, let me show you.
Hokas.
And he whipped out a pair of these Hokas, and they looked ridiculous. They looked like, well, this is what you make an action figure wear so it stands straight.
Right,
Yeah.
yes,
So it won't
yes.
fall off a shelf.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's like, try them on. And I tried them on, and they were like literally pillow soft.
Yeah.
I know.
It was great. So ever since then, I've got about 8 different pair.
Wow.
And I'm not a sneakerhead. I don't collect or anything,
Right.
but like, damn, if you can't accomplish things in this sneaker.
I know. And it hurts my heart because I am a sneaker guy, and I'm like,
Are they considered like a mom sneaker or a dad sneaker to a
No,
sneakerhead?
I think
Like,
like
geriatric, I would think, right?
Is
Yeah.
it?
Like
Like an
mall walk-
Asics
to me,
or whatever?
Like
as
mall
a-
walker?
As a old head sneakerhead guy,
Yeah.
to me they are, but the younger generations have really embraced them and they rock them. Like,
Well, grandpa
like they're
shoes
cool.
are back now. They
Yeah.
say the grandpa style shoes
Like the orthopedics.
are
Yeah.
are
Are you
popular.
serious?
Yeah, I just read something about I told Menace about it. I said, hey, you're in luck then, dude.
Yeah.
'Cause-
And I just read an article on this new Adidas shoe that looked just like the Hokas too. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh God.
They're
It's
changing
taking
the
over.
market, man.
Yeah.
But wait a second. So just to go back to the walk, how long did it take?
I left at 3 a.m. and I got there at 9:40 p.m. So I don't know the
Yeah,
math
how
on
many
that. What is that?
It was like 15 hours.
Yeah.
Total.
More than that, right?
No, way more than that.
Yeah.
It was?
That's like, let's see, 3 to 3 is
19
12,
hours.
plus
Oh.
another 6.
You're right. That we estimated it was going to
18
be
or 19
15.
So
hours.
18 hours
Yeah,
and 40 minutes.
originally I wanted to get there
Yeah.
around like 8 o'clock, but so many cool listeners stopped, and I kept on stopping and saying
There were
hi.
stops
Yeah,
along
yeah,
the way.
yeah.
Well, because you said what were you
But I
doing it
didn't stop.
for?
Yeah.
It was April Fool's Day, and we
Right.
had a thought about, well, what's something that we could, a lot of radio shows go, well, you're going to go do our show on our station, and we're going to go do your show on your
Right.
country station, and like goofy stuff. And we're like, well, what's something we could do that would sound like it's a joke? Like there's no way you're really doing it, but we're really doing it. And so Menace has been asking to walk to Disney for like a year plus. And it's like, dude, this is your opportunity to do your walk.
Yeah.
And he did it because nobody was going to believe that Menace, this guy, is going to walk to Disney. And he actually did it.
Yeah.
So wait a second. Was it broadcast?
Yes.
You guys
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, then we
had him on.
streamed
video
it.
streamed
and-
it the
yeah,
entire
we
time.
video streamed the whole thing.
So people
and-
knew it was real.
It was our April
Yeah.
for reals.
I know you don't smoke weed anymore, but you look like a confused stoner
I'm
right
just
now. I
trying
mean,
to like get all the logistics together. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
how did you broadcast? Was all the broadcasting just done from your phone?
yeah.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
had
like
five.
That
Five.
signal
harness
stayed
on.
the whole
Yeah.
He had a harness with a bunch of
That's what I'm
cameras.
thinking.
Yeah.
He looked
Yeah.
like Bubble Boy or
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did.
You did
It's really
have
cool.
Dude,
Yeah.
I used Mint Mobile, not sponsored, but should be.
No, not
yeah,
sponsored,
video
could be.
streaming.
Was it heavy?
Well, we
Oh,
have
yeah. 5 phones.
we have Kevin Smith in studio with us, and there's a lot to talk to you about. I know Greg's
Yeah.
got a question for
I
you, and
do.
I got a lot of questions about. Dogma is back in your
Yes.
possession.
I know.
It's
Finally,
coming back,
yeah.
kids.
One of my favorite
coming.
movies. When the
Yes.
first time I ever met you, it's like I couldn't wait to talk about Dogma. I mean, everybody, Clerks, of course,
Yeah.
and all the other movies that you've done, but like Dogma is one of those things because it hasn't been available for so long, and the story about why it hasn't been available on DVD and streaming services and everything else got really interesting for a while. But now it's back in your possession, of a movie that you wrote and acted in and directed, and so there's a whole thing around this that we're going to talk about. And but we got to take the break first because I know, man, once we get talking, we're going to talk.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Smith is here. Welcome back,
Yeah.
everybody.
Happy
So-
Friday, everybody.
Yes.
Happy Friday to you. It's good to see you. How you doing? You doing well?
No complaints whatsoever, man.
You seem like you're having a good time. On social media, you're doing a lot of stuff.
Before I got here, I was checking. We got the final art on doing a crossover. I got a comic book label called the Secret Stash Press over at Dark Horse Comics. And so we do a comic book called Quick Stops, which is like offshoot stories from the Askewniverse, Jay and Silent Bob, the Clerks characters and whatnot. All those movies that I made that were interconnected.
Yep.
These are little stories that you would never bother to make a whole movie about. So we're doing a crossover with the folks at Archie. So it's Archie meets Jay and Silent Bob.
Damn.
And I just saw all the final artwork and matched it against like the script. And it was wholesomely delightful.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people right away are like, oh man, are Jay and Silent Bob going to do Betty and Veronica? I was like, they're teenagers. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, that's not the story.
They don't have a chance.
But it wound up in it fits insanely well in the Archie universe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, there's definitely moments that push the line and stuff, but it's shockingly wholesome. And it really, at the base of it, is a story about how Archie comes to work at Quick Stop, and it helps Randall get over the death of Dante. Like, it's nuts, man. I can't believe it worked. The artist absolutely killed it, and we're all drawn in the Archie style.
Yeah.
So you wrote it?
Yeah, I wrote
Okay,
it.
so
and
you
then,
wrote the story.
Yep. That's how you do it in comics. Well, some people can write a script and draw it as well.
I'm
I'm
saying,
not
but
an artist.
you come up with all this stuff.
My whole story. I
No-
was like,
no
how does it
weed
fit?
anymore.
No, but I
Wow,
was like,
crazy.
how do I make this work? And I found a way to work. There were enough parallels. Like,
Yeah.
we referenced the Archie characters in Chasing Amy, like Mr. Weatherby and Archie and Jughead and stuff. So there was like a joke there, a long running joke that we were kind of associated with Archie because of that. But there's a Veronica in their world, a Veronica in our world. Our guy Dante was always caught between two girls, so to speak. So it kind of worked out. So this morning I got up and I was just like, I never saw this coming. Like, they reached out and they're like, you want to do this? I was like, how have we not done this?
Yeah.
And it just made me so happy. Am I going to get rich off it? Absolutely not. You get paid like maybe $100 a page in comics or something like that. And this is 40 pages, so it's all right for writing, but nobody going to live off that. You do it because of the joy. And this morning I sat there and received all the joy. Writing comics, writing cartoons always has this delayed benefit effect where you do a thing and then you go on with your life, and then like a month, 2 months later, somebody presents you with the thing you wrote and it's all drawn out and you're like, it just delivers. That's
my
what you need to
story.
do, is set up cascading joy
cool.
throughout your life, particularly in a time right now where there's so little of that.
Well, Kevin Smith is here. Find him on Twitter and Instagram at that Kevin Smith. And where will people be able to find that? Like how much?
That's coming
how much
out
time we gotta wait for?
July.
Oh,
It
so
hits
July.
Stands, yeah.
All right, so it'll be stands. So like, what is it? Comic book stores now,
Yeah,
right?
comic book
okay.
stores. You can get it online. They've got pre-orders
Mm-hmm.
going right now, and there's like 1,000 different
All right.
covers and stuff.
Got it.
It's fun. It's gonna be good
Yep,
times.
it's Kevin Smith. Very excited to get Dogma back
I know.
Yeah.
because Dogma was one of those movies, and I remember I heard about the controversy before I even knew what it was. And this is like, what year did that come out? 90?
Came out in 99.
99.
Same year my kid was born.
Okay, so
In fact, we were going to get my kid baptized, and somebody put a brick through our front window.
Yeah.
What?
Because
Jeez.
when the movie came out, there were people on the religious folks who were upset about the movie.
We remember.
okay,
Yeah.
well, because this coincided with an event in my career
Uh-oh.
where I was living in St. Louis at the time. The Pope was coming to town
Oh, no.
to St. Louis, and it was causing all kind of traffic problems. It's kind of like with F1 in Vegas. Like everybody in Vegas hates F1 because the chaos that it creates and
Right.
getting around.
And
streets
historically,
closed
everyone
and
in
things.
St. Louis hates the Holy Father.
Oh,
Even before traffic kicks in.
But do they? It's
Yeah.
the most Catholic city in America.
Yeah.
I'm sure you found out in this experience with Dogma. Anyway, so I'm like, look, man, if the Pope really wants to, and I was like ripping on like the Pope coming to town.
Right.
Well, the Secret Service made a stop at the radio station to make sure that I wasn't going to like inflame anybody while
Incite a riot?
Yeah, while the Pope, and also guess who was in town right around that time was George Carlin.
Oh Lord.
So he was on stage. I went to that show. It was at the Fox Theater in San, and he's making anyway. So your controversy, and then I was taken off the air for the 2 days that the Pope was in town.
That's hysterical. Really? They
Yeah,
were
and
like, he could be a threat.
No, there were no threats. They just didn't want me like riling people up about
Well, that's
the
why they took
traffic
you off,
and
because you could be a threat.
yeah. And I wasn't saying to do anything. It was just bitching about
No,
the traffic.
but
It was
you
like,
could be a threat.
Sure.
So like, get him off the air.
Sure. So I heard about the controversy with Dogma, and I'm like, oh, I must see this. This is definitely, from a sense of humor standpoint, right down Broadway for me. Saw the movie. What a bunch of cool twists. Speaking of George Carlin, George Carlin, Alanis Morissette, of course, everybody else that you have in
The late great Alan Rickman,
Alan Rickman,
Ben and Matt, Chris
right?
Rock, like this most star-studded
It's
cast.
a
ever.
great
Actually,
cast.
No, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot was the most star-studded cast we ever had.
And anyway, so Dogma, great movie, and you'd be able to watch it back at that time. And then there was this great dark period where you couldn't get it, and it's because Harvey Weinstein, yes, the Harvey Weinstein, he had the rights to it.
Yeah, what happened was, in order for the movie to come out, Disney hated it. Disney owned Miramax at that time. So Disney was like, you guys got to get rid of this movie. And this had happened before at Miramax with a couple films. For example, there was a movie called Kids.
Oh yeah.
Oh, my
Saw it in
God.
the theater.
Yeah.
And so
Even as a
when
horny young man, like
That's
I was
right.
like, you know what? I could
was-
probably go the rest of my life
grossed
without
out by
having
that.
sex.
Yeah.
Miramax made that movie. Miramax was owned by Disney. Disney was like, you got to get rid of this movie. It's not a Disney type film. And so the Weinstein brothers personally bought the movie and then released it themselves. And they made a bunch of money with it. So when the Dogma controversy happened, and then Disney, like Michael Eisner was leaning on Harvey going, you have to get rid of this movie. You never should have made it in the first place, and now you have to get rid of it. So Harvey and Bob had a model already from what they did with Kids where they bought Dogma personally, although I never saw a receipt. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
there was no proof
Bought
that they
Dogma.
actually money changed hands.
Right.
They ever paid Disney back, which is a point of contention. But in any event, once they had it, then they licensed it out first to Lionsgate for theatrical release. And this is baby Lionsgate. This is like, I remember when we hit 30 million, Lionsgate took out a double page ad going, 30 million. This is the company that would
Yeah.
go on to make,
Hunger Games?
the Hunger Games
Yeah.
franchises and
Yeah.
whatnot. So there was a time they were a very small company. So Lionsgate had it for theatrical. Sony or Columbia TriStar had it for home video. When you do these things, they have deals, and those deals eventually lapse. They probably did a 10-year deal or something like that. 10 years into those deals, well, Lionsgate's theatrical distribution is done after the movie comes out in 99. The home video version that Columbia TriStar had, their license expired while Harvey was not in jail. While
Right.
he was still up making
He was
the artist.
He was still out there doing the crimes that got him in the court later
That got
on,
him the
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yes, behind while still having a thriving career.
Yeah.
And it's the thriving career we need to focus on because of that, he could care less about Dogma. It was a property he owned, but he would never
Right.
re-up the license. And we would put in calls going like, Sony wants to re-up Dogma, but he didn't care. We never got word back or anything like that.
So he gets in trouble. He's tied
years
up
later,
in all this stuff.
years later, I'll tell a story here. Years later, I lived it. If you want to explain it, you can, Wood, but I'll tell you. So years later, Harvey calls up. I haven't spoken to this dude since we left in 2008 after we made Zach and Miri. And he calls up out of the blue, and they're like, hold for Harvey Weinstein. I was like, oh my God. And he goes, Kevin. I said, hey, how are you? He goes, I'm good. Dogma. I just realized we got it, and we're not doing anything with it. This could be a sequel or streaming series now. Mind you, I haven't heard from this person in 12 years, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, he remembered that he owned this movie, my fourth film with this cast. Like, it's valuable, and he sees there's value in it. Maybe we'll get to go back to the Dogma table and stuff. So he goes, all right, we'll talk about this further. I'll get into it next week. Bye. And he hangs up. So excited. 6 days later, the New York Times article drops.
My God.
Yeah, no.
So at that point, I go from excited to scared because like this guy I just spoke to this dude for the first time in 12 years. So I speak to John Gordon, who's my producer friend. He worked at Miramax back in the day, produced Red State and stuff. So I said, I was like, hey man, it was after that article dropped. I don't know what it was like for other people, but for me and the people I knew in that business, it was like, did you know? Did you know? Like, how did this happen? So John, I knew for years, and he worked there. He left eventually to go to Universal. But I was like, did you know? He goes, I had no idea. I said, I don't know how to say this, dude, but like, he called me last week for the first time in 12 years, and he talked about doing Dogma again. And John goes, he was just trying to see if you were one of the New York Times sources.
Oh.
And so I'm not saying like, and I was heartbroken and Harvey Weinstein hurt me.
Right.
The least
Get
egregious
lying.
thing the monster ever did, right?
Sure.
But that being said, like, it wasn't sincere. It was him going like, is he one of the people?
Right.
And once he had
Going
me on
down
the
the
phone
list.
and he talked for a minute, he
Wow.
was like, he's not one of them, and moved on. So
Wow.
that was the last Dogma anything for a minute. Harvey, as we all know, went through some issues and is in jail. A year and a half ago, we started reaching out, going like, I wrote a very heartfelt letter about how this is my fourth movie, and I know you made lots of them, but this is tied in with my father who's dead, and it's all about my Catholicism. It's sitting on a shelf someplace. Can we please have it? Its 25th anniversary is coming up. I offered $250K. The lawyer got back to us, said, absolutely not. So I wrote another letter and then offered $500K. Lawyer came back, said, absolutely not. That's about as high as I can go without reaching out to others who may be like, perhaps I reached out to Ben and Matt. So I was able to go back and be like, how about $1 million? Still told us no. So that was it. 6 months, 8 months go by, forget about it because it's all done and stuff. Then we get a call from these people who are like, we just bought like 10 movies and we were going through them and we see one has Ben Affleck in it. What do you know about this?
Yeah.
It was a company that bought the movies. Studio didn't buy these movies. What happened was this guy, of course, is ever fighting his legal battle, so he had more bills. And he liquidated a bunch of things that he personally owned. So the way I heard the story is this. This company, it's not even a company, it's an investment, what do they call those things?
Venture capitalist.
Venture
type thing.
capitalist thing. So they bought a tranche, they called it, of movies that Harvey personally owned. One was Kids, Larry Clark's movie. One was Fahrenheit 9/11, Michael Moore's documentary.
Right.
They did the same thing with that years later. 6 of them were kung fu movies because he had been working on kung fu stuff with Quentin, so he started buying, I guess, Shaw Brothers stuff maybe. And then one was Dogma. And this whole tranche of films got sold as a big set for not we were within spitting distance.
Oh boy.
Oh, wow.
For the one movie.
Yes.
Yeah, wow.
Wow.
And they
Still,
bought all of them.
The guy who makes the decision was like, no.
Wow.
Wow.
What an a-hole.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was kind of felt like a real from hell's heart I stab at thee kind of moment, but whatever. So this company was like, we own this now, but we don't know what to do with it. Do you want to play with it? I was like, this
Of
is all
course
my
I
dream.
do, yeah.
I've been
So
waiting.
first thing we did was our due diligence to make sure that that dude is completely separated. Because over the years, people have been like, hey, I can get your Dogma back. I'll be like, great, man, let's do it and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, but a piece of it goes back to him. And I was like, I can't. And never in a million years, I'd rather never touch that movie again.
So he's got his own problems. I doubt he even
And
cares about
God.
this. Yeah, right. At this
Yeah.
point.
So now it's like, oh my God, I get to play with it again. And it has been wild, man, because like, you got to remember, this happened in 1999. 26 years ago, there was a Dogma poster. There was a Dogma trailer.
Yeah.
The Dogma marketing story had been written. And like now, 26 years later, they're like, here's your new poster. I was like, oh my God, like this is phenomenal. Like, here's the new trailer. And the trailer, like, I know that movie. The trailer made me want to see the movie where I'm like, this movie looks dope. Like, it's just sold in a modern way. We could never put the Buddy Christ on the poster back in the day. We were dodging death threats back in the day.
Now anything goes.
Yeah.
Now it's like, well, the image of Jesus pointing at you, winking with his thumbs up has been co-opted by so many people that I was like, let's us use it. It came from us.
Right.
Like, it's all over the internet and stuff. And he became the center point of the poster. We have all these famous people who are tiny around him and Jesus front and center.
We're not going to get more famous than
That's
Jesus.
my argument. I was like, who is more famous than Jesus? They all love him.
And so it's going to be out, like people can buy it, you could stream it.
Well, it comes out, it re-released in theaters June 5th everywhere. So the same way it would like a normal movie, but before that,
this is my favorite thing. So it's another, what do you call it? The Resurrection premiere?
It's called, well, first there's Dogma, the Resurrection Tour, and then the movie on June 5th is called Dogma Resurrection.
Right, but I'm saying on Easter Sunday, this Sunday,
the tour begins.
which I think is hilarious.
Yeah.
First of all, but also, by the way, it's 420.
Yes.
It's
True,
all
yeah.
perfect.
It's all coming together.
This
So
literally came together in a month and a half. I was sitting on Zoom with everybody a month and a half going like, Easter is 420.
yeah.
And we were all like, let's do it. And the folks at Iconic Releasing, man, made it happen in a month and a half. And AMC theaters. It's been amazing.
So it's happening in L.A. at the Grove in
That's
LA
where we kick it off.
Perfect.
on Sunday, 420. This Sunday, 420 Easter Sunday, which is perfect.
Yes.
And then after that, it's this Resurrection Tour, which is hitting a lot of Woody Show cities, like for example, Dallas on April 30th. Philadelphia, May 5th, Pittsburgh, May 23rd. Just some Woody Show cities. Then back in L.A., after the whole thing at the Grove this Sunday, it wraps up, you said, in Burbank, May 30th.
We just added for the end
Menace
of the
can
tour,
walk there.
Burbank.
Yeah, I can walk.
Exactly, man. And I expect you to get a new pair of Hokas for this. But yeah, right in Burbank, May 30th. It
It's
ends.
so cool. What is Matt and Ben? What do all those guys think about it now? Like that's coming
What an
back
interesting
out.
question,
Yeah.
because somebody was like, "What's your guest list for the premiere on Sunday?" And I was like, "I'm Scott Mosier's coming in. He was the producer of the movie. Laura Greenlee, she was like a line producer, associate producer. And they're like, no, I mean like your guest list." And I was like, "Who, the cast?" And they're like, "Yeah." I was like, "I haven't heard from anybody."
All right. Really?
Yeah, I texted Ben the day that the trailer was going to drop, and I was like, "Hey man, you got a second?" And he was like, he's shooting a movie right now. He's like, "I will tonight." I was like, "I don't even need you tonight. I'm just going to leave something here, watch it at your leisure. It's going to make you feel young again." And so didn't hear back. But I don't take that as like him going like, "I hate this."
Yeah.
He's directing a movie. The next morning, my Jordan, who's Jason Muse's wife, she runs our company. She like shamed me into texting Rock. She's like, if you texted Ben, why wouldn't you just text Chris Rock? So I was like, all right. And I reached out to Rock and I was like, "Hey man, is this still you?" Because it's been forever.
Right.
Yeah.
And I said, "Is this still you, Rufus?" Because that's who we played in Dogma. And he was like, "It's still me, friend. How are you?" And I said, "I got something to send you." And I sent him the trailer with the password so he can watch it. Never heard back. So
my God.
So I don't. But again, I don't.
They all holy ghosted you.
I know.
I'm stealing that joke and taking it down the road, Woody. That's class right there.
Yeah.
So that's not a complaint. That's not me whining or anything like that.
Yeah.
But everyone's in their own stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's something I always remember
Interesting.
about my work. Is
What about
like,
Alanis Morissette?
Yeah, what about Alanis?
I haven't heard from her.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
Weird.
isn't she?
But
touring
again, this
right now?
isn't
George
like. But I
Carlin?
never
Nothing?
hear from.
Getting.
Well, certainly
Getting,
haven't
yeah.
heard from George.
Yeah. Now,
I've
wouldn't that be
never-
interesting if that was that he came to you in a dream?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I could see that.
George?
He got back. Yeah, he came to you in a dream and said, "Oh, you know,
you got to do this.
This is
Well,
really-
yesterday we were shooting
congratulations."
promos for the movie at the AMC at the Grove, and they were doing a quality check on the new version because it's new 4K up-res and
Sure.
stuff like that. So they were running it in this big theater where we were also shooting, and we came in just when the George Carlin scene happened, and my God, he was just absolutely
Yeah.
magnificent.
Yep,
And he
he's the
was
best,
like
man.
the dude who
So
on that
great.
movie, that was like, I was Catholic when I started that movie. When I was when the movie was over, I don't think I was Catholic
Yeah.
anymore.
So good.
And that was because of George. George was like, at one point I was like saying, hey man, so in this scene you're going to do this and blah, blah, blah. And it's like that thing in church, so blah, blah.
Well, for more information, go to dogmamovie.com. It's dogmamovie.com. You'll find all the dates and everything else there. I'm super happy for it because I know it was such a big deal for you for
Yeah.
such
Got
a
it
long
back,
time.
kids. You could
Incredible.
all come see it.
All right, well, we got
everywhere.
it is the Woody Show.
Friday!
It is.
Yes.
All right, I like that clip. We're going to use that from now on. Friday.
Friday!
Yeah. Kevin Smith is here. The one, the only Kevin Smith.
So delighted to be here, kids. You know why?
Oh, it's great to see you.
7-minute ride from my house.
Isn't that
How
nice?
I'm going to say it again, and I always say when I come in, and it's never taken up on. I would literally come here.
I
every
know you
day.
say that. You say that all the time.
Every
Yeah.
day.
And I thought it was fun, seeing a little bit about what you do. Where the with the 4:30 movie thing, just right
Yeah.
down the street. We just did that quick little thing
Yep.
for that's your latest movie as of right now.
That was the last flick I had come out, and that I've talked about before when it came on the show. That opening gives me chills.
McCreary with the song of the summer, Astro Blaster and the Beaver Men still playing at a theater near you. Not seeing Poltergeist 2, man. That creepy old preacher guy looks like my stepmom. Sunday morning, Whisper and Woody on Z100.
Number one, I love when a movie starts over like the studio logo and stuff.
Yeah.
Number two, you set the tone perfectly, man, because like you understood the assignment. I came in and I was like, Woody, I need a Z100
Like
DJ.
old school, like top 40
It
yelling,
wasn't just that.
screaming DJ.
You started naming them.
Oh yeah.
You were like, oh,
Yeah, I
you
know
want
there was.
him,
Yeah.
him,
Kid
or him?
Kelly and
Yes, and I
all
was
those
like,
dudes.
We
Are you
call
kidding?
them pukers.
Human Newman.
Yeah.
Human Newman.
Yeah.
Pukers? What do you mean? Why?
Yeah.
Pukers.
Pukers.
That's the
They're
term of
always
art.
like yelling and screaming and blah 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 blah.
That's the term of art. is
Yeah, yeah,
puking.
pukers.
Does anyone puke anymore?
Yeah.
Now
like,
it's
yeah,
more of a
they do.
podcast vibe, right? Where everybody's just
Dep-
conversation.
not on like the the old, not old. They're not oldie stations anymore, but they play like a lot of 80s music.
They'll still be
and
like,
stuff.
hey, it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a
Exactly. Well,
puker.
But you nailed it, man.
Well, thank
like,
you.
And
It was
with
fun.
the song under it, like
It was
all
fun.
of that was perfect, and all the references
yeah.
and stuff. Like
and
that.
he knew better than to show me on camera. So it's like it's better seen than heard.
a voice built for radio.
That's how he knows. That's how he knows.
Not too long ago, Kevin did fill-in shifts at our sister station, and
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, he did a
Oh,
great
it's
job.
so
Oh.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Can
mean,
we talk
that,
about
that was
that?
great.
Yeah.
I wanted that so badly. I wanted to be the king of AM radio
Yeah,
in
you
the
were
Los
perfect
Angeles
for that.
basin, but it didn't work out, and
Yeah.
it still haunts me to this day. When
No,
I pulled up,
you're
I
in
was
better.
like,
You're in better shape.
man,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Then you have to
know,
deal with
but
the people around the air, and
I
It's a
love,
whole thing.
yeah,
I love radio, man.
Yeah, I know you do.
And the how close you guys are.
yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
heart
anyway.
attack. Do the heart attack.
The
Well,
heart attack.
well,
yeah.
Anyway, I thought it was really fun to get to see what you do. You come in here and you love to see and participate in what we do. I thought it was fun to go and participate and see.
Next time you come to a
what you
set
do.
and
Yeah.
be in it, like on camera.
Great.
We're still, our money fell apart for, we're making Jay and Silent Bob's Store Wars. We were so close. And then our money, which was Canadian, fell apart. Guess what?
And no.
So now it's back to the drawing board to find more money, which is fine. I
Okay.
ain't complaining, man.
All
It's
right,
like,
well, let me know.
So
I'm around.
it's going to happen.
I'm around.
Yes.
Yeah. So, question about
That's how you begin in a Kevin Smith movie. First, you're just a voice.
sure,
Then you are a body.
pretty
Right.
great one, right?
Then we put them together.
yeah.
It's a
So
rite of passage.
back to the Dogma thing real quick. Dogma's coming back out in theaters June 5th. Kevin finally got the movie back. It's the big anniversary. He's doing the whole thing, the Resurrection Tour. It's hitting all these Woody Show cities. Dallas, Philly, Pittsburgh, of course, Los Angeles. Big premiere, re-premiere, new premiere this Sunday, Easter Sunday for
So
Dogma.
great.
Of all the things and all the complaints and all the controversy that happened when it first came out, was there anything that was scary?
Yeah. When
Like,
we
was there
had-
like a scary threat?
There
One that you
were-
were really concerned about?
we got, what was it, 400,000 pieces of hate mail, and 3 were verified death threats. And
Boy.
one of them, I still remember the one that said, and this is me quoting a letter. So, how do I put this? You,
We
in
can bleep it. Do
parentheses-
we need to bleep it out?
No.
Board, are we ready? Can we bleep it out if we need
Just
to?
be standing
Okay.
by. But it was it was directed at a group of people.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna do it as he did it, but or I assume it was him. But so it said you, and in parentheticals, people of the Jewish persuasion.
Okay.
But
We've heard
something
it all.
a little more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gina knows
Trust
all
me.
of them, yeah.
You better take that money you stole from us
Mm.
and start investing in flak jackets because we're coming in there with shotguns. Your brothers in Christ. And
We've had it too good for too long.
oh my God, it was terrifying, man. So there was that thing. We
Okay.
couldn't open our mail in the office for like 4 months and
Yeah.
stuff. When we went to Cannes, they installed for our screening they installed at the Palais metal detectors.
Sure.
Oh, wow.
Because there were threats of violence and stuff. But the weirdest one, and I still remember this and tell this often. We got to the New York Film Festival premiere of the movie. So it's at Alice Tully Hall. New York Film Festival is a huge event back east every year and stuff. We brought our kid. Harley was just born. She was an infant, and we put these little angel wings on her. So she dressed like a little angel, still chubby cheeked and stuff, like just this, like barely 2 months old. So we come out of the car, and there's 1,000 people lined up all around the theater holding statues of Mary, praying the rosary at us, weaponizing prayer like at us and stuff. Peaceful, nobody like pushing or shoving, but there were a lot of bodies, a lot of people not happy that we were there. So we go inside, and my plan is I tell the publicist, Gina Gardini, I was like, I'm going to go intro, but I'm going to bring the kid out because she got the wings on. It's going to be adorable. And Gina's looking at me all weird, and I was like, what? And she goes, I just need to remind you that anybody could buy a ticket for the screening.
Oh, boy.
And I was like, I know, that's why it's sold out. It's awesome. She goes, no, anybody can buy a ticket
Anybody.
for the screening,
Even the
including
pissed
people
off
that
people,
don't want
yeah.
this to happen. And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. I was like, so what's your point? She's like, you're about to step on stage holding your baby.
Yeah,
And I
maybe
was
not a
like,
good
are
idea.
you saying
Yeah.
don't do that? She's going, Kevin, I would feel remiss to not at least mention it, considering the climate around this movie. And I was like, I mean, you know, I was scared, but I was like, if I could go out there without the kid, that's like letting the terrorists win. So I went out with the kid, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't using her like a human shield the whole
Sure.
time.
You got to.
That's what kids are for.
Hey, everybody, here's the kid in the balcony.
That's what kids are for. Yeah, I do all of this blasphemy for her.
Yeah.
You know, this is all these things I do in life, I do for my family.
Hold her up like the Lion King.
There she
Yeah,
is. Yeah.
that's
And they're like,
crazy.
he loves her. I was like, well,
But
yeah.
also at the same time,
But she's serving a dual purpose.
as
right
scary as that kind of stuff is, I mean, like what great marketing, especially for a movie like that.
True.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know,
Well,
the
that was
more
the thing, like,
more
I
that
never-
that group gets pissed off, like the better it was for the people who would love your movie.
Yes and no. Like that was the thing. I always felt did the movie a disservice was people was like, oh man, I hear this movie gives it to the church. And when you see Dogma, it's actually a pretty reverent film.
Yeah, no, it's great.
It's
I mean,
pretty
yeah.
pro-faith. So I know there are a bunch of people out there who were like, it's,
It's
gonna be
asking
like
questions.
like Monty Python's Life of Brian.
Sure.
But it wasn't. Like Life of Brian went after their subject. Mine was more about like
Curious.
Philosophy.
Yours is like that would be more
but
attacking.
and
Yours
it
is
was
more
written by a guy who was
curious.
still kind of believing in it. Like Carlin said to me when we were on set, like at one point, he was like, "You really still believe in all this, don't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, you're raised Catholic, you don't." And he goes, "No, I'm smarter than that." And that was like the beginning and the end of my faith and stuff. So
Yeah.
the movie like came with issues, and so much so that when it was all over, I was like, "Next movie I make, I just want to make a movie where like nobody's mad at me."
Yeah.
Where nobody can find.
What was
a
the next
reason
one
to-
after that? Was
Jane,
it?
Silent Bob Strike
Okay.
Back,
Nice.
and then
Love it.
we Glad went after us on that.
Oh, man.
They're easier to deal with than pissed off Catholics, that's for sure.
It's,
Well, anyway,
it's so weird because my entire career, I've never courted controversy. Like I've never been the guy that's like, let's poke at the establishment. But some of the stuff I've done has
It's a
hit
nerve.
people in a weird way,
Yeah.
and I just assume in my head and heart that it's aged out of that. So far, this Dogma re-release has been relatively like none of the problems of last time.
different time.
Yeah.
I hope it stays
Yeah.
that way. I
Yeah.
really do. I'd be so happy.
Well, go see the re-release June 5th in theaters, and then also it'll be, I'm sure, soon after or pretty close. The streaming.
Working on
and
that stream, and we got a nice
Things like that.
steelbook that's
Yeah,
going to be coming.
that'll be awesome. All right, so go to dogmamovie.com for more information on that. All right, we said at the very beginning of your visit here today that Greg had a question for you. This is something I believe that we did talk about on the
It came
air.
up about a week or two ago.
But no one can answer it.
Just in general, it's not about you specifically, but you
Yeah.
have
But you're the
experienced
I got
one,
it.
you're the
experience
one
in
to
this realm.
ask
Yes.
about this. And my question sounds so stupid, but
Not at all.
when you have a heart attack,
Yes,
does it hurt? And do you think somebody could have one without even knowing it?
100%. Number one, not a dumb question. Number two, I can't speak to all heart attacks, and I'm sure there are those that do hurt. But I had one where I was not hurt, how it manifested was I was sweating profusely, but I was heavier then, so I always sweated.
Right.
So I didn't notice that.
I know that feeling.
And how was the other thing? There was no tightness.
What about
I didn't
the
have any of that.
arms?
Elizabeth,
Right,
I didn't
it's
have
the
any
big
of that.
one.
Nausea.
None of the Fred Sanford.
Right.
Nausea, dizziness.
So I'm nauseous. I threw up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like mostly bile. But like I rarely ever throw up, so that happened. So I was like, oh, maybe I just had some bad milk because I was a big milker then. Big milk drinker then.
Yeah.
So I felt no pain whatsoever. But Jason's wife, Jordan, who runs our company, she was there because we were shooting the show. And at one point I said to her, she was like, you really don't look good. And I was about to do the second show. I was between two performances at the Alex Theater in Glendale. So she was like, you don't look well. I was like, all right, man, it's Sunday night. I was like, if you feel the need, call a doctor. And then she came back 10 minutes later and she was like, an ambulance is coming. I was like, why did you call an ambulance?
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous. I said like a doctor, maybe. She's like, well, it's Sunday. There are no doctors. And just to be safe. So those guys showed up and there was a guy and a girl,
EMTs.
first responders,
Paramedics.
EMTs. And so they see me sitting there and the guy starts talking. They're putting leads on my chest. They tried to lift up my jersey. I was like, whoa!
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'll put them on under my
Excuse
shirt.
you.
So I reached up, put them on and stuff, and they're talking to me, and they're like, how do you feel? I was like, I just feel like nauseous, and I threw up a little bit before. I was like, but like, it's just, I can't catch my breath. I'm trying to, and I can't hit the top and stuff. And so from the leads they had on my chest, they looked at the little box, and I'll never forget, the girl's on the box, and she looks up at the guy, and the guy goes, Mr. Smith, we're going to take you to the hospital. And I was like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Please don't. He goes, I know, we really don't have to. We don't need to, but this will make me look good at my job if I bring in somebody famous like you. And I was like, don't do that to me, man. Like, all right. He's like, have you ever ridden in an ambulance before? And I was like, no. And he goes, oh, it's so
I'll
fun.
let you hit the lights.
Yeah, you're like a little kid.
So he sold me on it. So I had no pain. Like I was not like, good, take me to the hospital.
yeah.
I was still like, oh, that's embarrassing.
But
Don't
they
do
knew
that.
you were having a heart attack.
This guy, based on those leads he had on my chest,
So he knew even before.
he
Yeah.
knew
He
I
was
was
freaking
dying
out.
in that moment.
God.
And I was, since we were shooting a show there was a call sheet, any production has, with information, and they always list like the nearest hospital in case of an emergency. So there was a hospital close to the Alex that we could have went to, but these two first responders, these kids, I really got to find out who they are because it's been 7 years. These kids made the call to bring me further to the Adventist hospital that was great at Hearts.
Wow.
Because they did that, we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Incredible.
Crazy.
And none
And
of
scary.
the whole time never felt pain.
Wow.
Never.
Wow.
Even when the
Chills.
doctor at the emergency
Interesting.
room was like, you're having a mass. He was
Yeah,
just like,
yeah.
how do you feel? I was like,
Yeah.
I feel fine. He goes, you're doing it wrong. I was like, what do you mean you're doing it wrong? You're supposed to be in a lot of pain when you have a massive heart attack. I was like,
Yeah.
wow.
How
So
were-
no pain.
How heavy were you at your heaviest?
My heaviest was 3. I was always like, if I ever weigh my area code, that's bad. And I went past it. I was 323, and I eventually hit 335.
335.
Yeah.
So that's when you had the heart attack, you were
Heart
335.
attack, I was 300
300.
because I'd stopped sugar for a while, so I dropped like
Okay.
35 bucks still.
And then what are you now? Like, is this like
Last time I weighed,
you're crazy
I was
skinny?
205.
Like, are you feeling okay? Like, oh my god. Like, Greg and I always say, like, if somebody said to me, like, oh my god,
You don't look well.
you don't look well. You look
That's
so
a-
sick.
You lost
That's a
so much
compliment.
weight.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you,
Yes.
oh babe.
Oh, fucking! I, if anyone's ever like, you look gaunt, I'm like,
Thank
how-
you.
How do I do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
How do I do it again? I've always longed to look gaunt.
Do you still feel fat though? Sometimes, like, 'cause people talk about
trust
that.
me, if I were to disrobe, like you would have zero thought in either direction about, oh, this guy is. He was.
I'm saying,
he's
but do you
silly.
still feel like you're
Yes,
like because they
100%.
I remember even when I lost a ton of weight at one point, and I was 200 no not 200 I was 185 pounds
Right.
after being 260 pounds,
Right.
and like I still felt like I was 260.
Yeah,
Oh,
like,
totally.
You don't
Yeah.
see
still
it.
carry
Just
it.
more
Like
fit.
here, I still buy 2XL underwear.
Yeah.
And it hangs off me, and my wife is like, you look disgusting.
I know.
You look like a little old man.
I
and
buy
she's
stuff
like,
really big. My
just-
wife's
she
always
goes,
bitching about me
Yeah,
that too.
yeah.
buy
Yeah.
new underwear, just buy smaller. And I was like, the moment I commit to a smaller size,
Yeah, is when you're gonna
I'm
go
gonna
up.
start
And,
putting
yep.
it back in.
I don't know
agree.
if it's false memory syndrome, but didn't you say that one of your concerns about the whole heart attack thing was having to get naked in front of
Yes,
everybody?
100%.
See that?
Yeah.
We're so the same
100%. They were
person in
trying to
that
get
regard.
me, to get my hockey jersey off me in the OR, and I was like holding it down.
That's a belly thing, not a penis thing, right?
It's all of
Both.
Of.
Because if you got the belly, you don't got the penis.
Yeah, it's an optical illusion.
In my experience, I've been told.
Also true. That's also true.
Speak on it.
Well, Kevin, it's great to see you.
Excellent seeing
Again,
you, kid.
so happy. The Dogma thing is great because I know how important that's been to you for such a long
Praise
time.
Jeebus.
Yeah, and watching, I said, on social media, you seem like you're in a really good place. You seem really happy. Things are going well, and I'm happy for you.
Life above ground, man.
Kevin Smith, everybody.
All right.
Thank you, kids.
All right. It is The Woody Show. We will be right back.